This is Pops from Seth Howard's Repair Service with a, what would they call it? Well, anyway, with a general message for the mechanical world, small engines in particular, but many others. 10W30 synthetic is now, specifically all across the board and everywhere I have looked, a general motor oil for all small engines, 4 cycles. 4-cycle small engines, all of them. Across the board, 10W30 synthetic. Do you understand what I said? 10W, not 10 weight, 10W as in 10 winter grade, dash 30 multiviscosity, and synthetic, not synthetic blend, not petroleum base, none of the above. Because apparently almost all synthetics now, versus what AMSOIL used to have years ago, AMSOIL was originally hyper refined crude oil or petroleum-based oil. Now they're getting it from natural gas, full synthetic, as they like to call it. That is the recommendation for every small engine I have dealt with in the last year or two, all of them. And the current one that has that exact same rating is a Briggs & Stratton from what, 92, 93, somewhere in there, the 90s. So please, can we stop with the non-detergent only argument, even in your old cast iron engines? Trust me, the 10W30 synthetic will work well. Only non-detergent SAE 30. If your engine's clean, keep it clean. Do not run non-detergent oil in those old engines. Now, way back when, non-detergent was run because that's what they got. That's all they could afford. It's what the engines were designed to run on. Your Jeeps and other oils from way back. The problem was they would build up sludge in them, which it could tolerate, but if you put a detergent oil in there, the problem came and all that sludge would release and plug the ports. So, what's the cure for that? I don't know. Mix and blend until it slowly cleans it out. That's why they used to That's why Marvel Mystery Oil had been so popular. You hear me? You used to hear from the old guys, my parents and grandparents, when you change your oil, you drain it, don't pull the filter off, put Marvel Mystery Oil in, fire up the engine, run it for a few minutes, shut it off, and drain it again. Then take the filter off, put the new filter on, and your oil. It cleaned it out all the way through the engine because you had a non-detergent oil in there that would allow it to crap up. Okay? What was Marvel Mystery Oil? A high detergent, thin, heavy film oil. Marvel Mystery Oil had additives in it to clean the engine out. It wasn't designed for running under load or anything. But a lot of guys added Marvel Mystery Oil to their oil because back then, what was it? It was non-detergent. So you add Marvel Mystery detergents. So please, can we just put the right oil in the first place and stop arguing? You can't even say old wives' tales. How can you say it? Old caveman tales? Seriously. Since I was a child, 10, 11, 12 years old, I learned the hard way from a guy who worked at IBM, rode a motor scooter back and forth from Endicott back home to Vestal, or from Vestal to Endicott and back again, who did small engines on the side. And Pete Atwater in the 60s and early 70s said, never run a non-detergent oil in your small engine, ever. And Pete couldn't talk to you normal. Pete was always nasty. It was just Pete. Once you got past the crusty exterior, he'd help you all the way to the bank. But if you weren't willing to put up with the first barrage, he wasn't giving you the help that you were looking for. So anyway, That's from the 60s and 70s. All right? And they've had detergent oils since the 40s. Why do you think they survived World War II on Pennsylvania grade crude with all that paraffin? You had to have something in there to keep the paraffin liquid, soluble, fluid. And many of you know from the 60s in particular, but into the 70s, Pennzoil and Quaker State, and if you didn't change it regular, and even if you did, and you drove it start and stop driving, the paraffin would separate and fill up the upper end of the engine, and you have oil blowing out of your valve covers because it wouldn't run back. And people had trouble building pressure up, blowing all oil all over the ground too, but also starving their engine for oil on a nice fresh oil change. What can I say? Detergent oils keep your engine clean. Small engines in particular. I have run 10W30 in mine by my personal choice for 30 years on and off, conventional and synthetics. I'm still waiting for a problem. My John Deere B has had it in it. 1944. And I pull logs with that when I get going sometimes. Just saying. My 1959 Case 511B. 10W30 synthetic quite often. Not all the time, but quite often. Just saying. Stop with the arguing. People are still going on about non-detergent 30 weight in all your small engines. Never! You'll ruin all of the new grade small engines from roughly, I'm going to say 1985. We'll go with 1990 on up. But you can go back to 85. You can go back before that. And I'll tell you with the Kohlers. Kohler runs so hot, you never want to. No, run it 10W30 synthetic in your old Kohler, 1972, out there in the yard, plowing gardens. It's right over here with a snow blade on it, chains. Please. I reworked that back sometime around 2005, 2004. Please stop. It's still going. Yes, in the winter as well. Some of you are going to bark, mine says 5W30. Yeah, some of them do. So follow that recommendation. I wouldn't. It's a little too thin in the summer. But I have seen actual owner's manuals that said 5W30 synthetic only. Don't use conventional. Synthetic only. Full synthetic only. Then you'll be all right. But summertime, I'd go 10W30. It's not that much better. And it's still, that's right, it has the 30. It can work that way. No, I just like it to start out a little stiffer to begin with. Why? It doesn't matter what it is. If you have a 10W30 oil, it's a 10W oil, 10 winter grade, with additives in it to make it act like a 30 grade oil as it warms up. So cold weather startup is the base oil. So if you have 5W30, you're starting out 5W. I got a 0W20 in my car. Yeah. Well, all these new camshafts, they're trying to get that crap through the engine as fast as they can. And your camshaft has 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 moving pieces in it. Hydraulics and such to change timing. Some change duration. Just saying, people. There's a reason they want that oil. And as they get older, you want to make a change to a little heavier base grade, 0W to 5W to 10W. Be careful. But if you got over 100,000 miles, I probably wouldn't worry about it, especially in the summer, but that's your choice. Follow recommendations first, and then play with it later. When you don't care about the vehicle, why not? But listen carefully, because your engine will talk to you. All right, that's it for the morning. Peace out, and remember, your tech tip. Full synthetic 10W30 in all small engines is a general recommendation in all the Chinese engines, Briggs & Stratton, Kohler, Honda, and others. And if yours says 5W30, run it. They're splash engines. A thick oil does not help a splash engine until it warms up. You get my drift? Just like your cars with multiple pieces in the camshafts and connecting rods and variable compression, variable valve timing, and all of that. Well, oil has to get to those parts quickly. Hence, 0W, 5W, and 10W, and 20 grade on the upper end. True story. Peace out.